My name is Julien Nicolas. I'm a graduate student here at Ohio State University, and I work with the Polar Meteorology group here at the Byrd Polar Research Center. The Polar Meteorology group is a group of senior scientists and graduate students that works on a variety of things, variety of research topics that have two things in common. They are all related to the polar regions, both the Arctic and the Antarctic, and they all involve the use of data from numerical atmospheric models. Our research focuses on are first, of course, climate change, how the climate in the polar regions is changing, has been changing in the recent past, and will change in the future. Climate change is not always easy to detect. Weather forecasting for Antarctica, so that's a much shorter scale, so a scale of a few days. Our purpose is to provide some numerical weather forecast to support all the operation of the United States Antarctic program in Antarctica. Early on, when I was young, when I was in high school, I got interested in three things, among many others. First, climate change. I was interested in climate change and also concerned by how our planet was changing, how the human activities were affecting the environment. That was the first thing. The second thing was I was fascinated by mountain glaciers, polar ice sheets, the extreme environment of the polar regions, and all these early polar explorers like Scott, Shackleton, Amundsen, Nansen, and all the others that followed. And the third thing was I got a huge interest in numerical modeling in computer science. And for these three things, the Byrd Polar Research Center and the Polar Meteorology Group in particular had an outstanding expertise. To assess the temperature changes in Antarctica. Is Antarctica warming? Or which areas in Antarctica are warming, and are there some other places that are cooling instead? How fast, since when, for what reasons? This is the station that sits at the center of the West Antarctic ice sheets. It was created in 1957 with the International Geophysical Year. Our goal was to reconstruct the whole record between 1957 and present, basically. And to do this, we used some model data that were constrained by observations. What we find out is that this particular site had been warming fast, and faster than most of the places on Earth, and that it was warming not only in winter, in the spring, but also in summer. Whether Antarctica is losing or gaining mass, whether it's contributing to sea level rise, is a very important issue, because there's about 55 meters of sea level that sits on these ice sheets. The main problem is that this is also true for the mass accumulation on the ice sheet, is that for temperature, you really don't have a lot of measurements that you can rely on. And when you do, these usually covers some very short time period. The broad impact is gaining some better understanding of the contributions of the ice sheets to sea level. That's of course a scientific question, but how much and how fast sea level is changing and will change in the future will affect millions of people that live in coastal areas. And an even bigger picture is trying to understand what influence human activities have had and will have on the planet, and trying to make people aware of this and also communicate about this. The fact of working at the Byrd Polar Research Center is working in a place where science, history, polar exploration meet together. And when I got to go to Antarctica in 2011, I was fully aware of this. Being there was an incredible experience, and it made me really proud of being a member of this center.